Hello, hello, I'm Zenvo, and this is how I made Walk Away with kayaks. Um, I'm gonna attempt to explain the process behind that. I'm gonna show the previous version. So this video will be split in two parts. The first being kayaks explaining how he made first version before I started working on the collab. And then second, we're gonna move to this project and I'm gonna try my best to show everything that's in there. So here you have kayaks.
This is Kajix. I'll show you the first idea of walk away, just like this.
Won't be walking away, yeah.
I came up with the drop idea from this vocal chop sample. The break and build-up parts were mostly created by Zenvo. This is all I made.
You got it going on, I'll be there. Got me going all crazy and I
Start with the bass. Sounds like this. Sub bass. Pluck bass. Another pluck bass. Stab bass. Stabs. And chords. Move on to the leads. Two leads support the vocal chop melody. And one LFO lead makes this drop more interesting. Drums. Many samples are from SSE. I added a lot of more drums in the second part. Then I added some sound to the layers of chords. This vocal. White noise. And this piano texture. Next I'll show you one of my favorite parts of this drop. Most of these samples are from the free sample pack by Nodex. I added some reverb to make the sound smooth. I added some sounds to the B part because I felt it was too empty. Downlifter. SSE melody atmosphere. And color texture. Some reverse samples to fill in the spaces. That's all. I only made this, but Zenvo made this idea into a great track. See you guys, and enjoy the Zenvo walkthrough.
Okay, so that was kayaks, and we're back in this project. I'm gonna skip the extended mix because it's just drop but with less elements. So for the intro, we used you probably know this vocal from NCS or something.
You got it going on, I'll be there in a heartbeat. Tell me your favorite song, I'll put it on repeat.
So what do we have here? It's yeah, it's a vocal chain. All right, I am not going to touch. So this is a vocal chain that I took from Sick Rate. I mean, I didn't take it from him, but when we mixed Future together, I learned somehow how to process the vocals to make them sound nice. So uh, let's play the vocal without them.
Girl, you got it going on up.
It already sounds pretty nice, but it just needed some touches, you know?
Girl,
So we have basic cutout, cut off, low pass, high pass. Oh, that's gonna be a long video. So we have high pass, low cut. Yes. So first we have low cut, then there's DSR, then we have another EQ with just taking out some of the mud. Then we have soothe, which is
girl, you
yeah,
got it go.
it's really taking out the high frequencies. So the vocal doesn't really have much issues in the high end. In fact, it doesn't have any. But just soothe does something magical to the high end and it makes it really smooth. Soothe, smooth. Let's move on. So then we have this. It's a compressor for vocals from Waves. Then we have Saturn, which is, you know, a little touch to the high end and nothing else. Then we have Next EQ, which is just minor adjustments. And then we have Insane Reverb. It's actually so good because it has no mud in the mid frequencies. And it's just really good. It's sounding really good. So then we have the vocal double, which is this.
Girl, you got it going on up.
It's basically just manipulator with some harmonics to make it a bit different. And then we have EQ. And that's basically it. So moving on, this right here, main synth from the intro. I really got inspired by Bad Computer. I really like his music and his tracks, his older tracks specifically. I think it was Disarray. Yeah, Disarray. And I really liked the lead and I wanted to recreate it. So first I made the drop. Like I made some stuff in the drop. But then I decided, okay, we can get this synth and get it for the intro and just twist it a bit. So that's what I did. Very simple. It's just basic tune patch, I believe. I mean, it's not that basic, but it's pretty basic. So we have this. And then for the lower part, here we go. It's basically the same thing, but it just has EQ. This was for space for the vocal, R bass, and basically just compression. And that's all. What do we have next? We have this doesn't work. Okay, so we have this. But I cut out the activation because it's cringe. Then we have this thing. It really drives the track. And I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna admit, I love using loops. I am a lazy producer. I never learned sound design that much. I can do it, but it's usually like, if I can avoid it, I'm gonna avoid it, which is really stupid. And I should learn it better, but that's what I do. So we have this. And again, really simple. So I had to cut out really much of the mid frequencies because the bass notes weren't matching with the bass I did in the intro. So I just had to cut it, you know. Like they're almost invisible. Then we have acoustics, which is it's really cool plugin. And it does multiple things. You can like do the, you know, virtual surround. You have the every bass boosting up has this, and it just makes the whatever that is. So yeah, I just used some of that. Oops. Then we have G-Clip. because there's another thing about me. I don't like compressors. If I can avoid it, I'm gonna avoid compressors. Even though I watched like 1,000 tutorials about compressors, I just, no, I'm sorry, no. So I use Clipper when I can. When it messes the sound and it makes the distortion that I don't want, I'm gonna use a compressor, all right. But usually not my thing. Some more EQing. This is amazing. It really makes a good delay. And then we have again black hole. And that's all. Then we have this, which is just some ambience in the background. Impact. Lenosynth, which is absolutely amazing and I love using it. It's probably getting overused at this point, but I don't care. So we have this. Grass shots, which are just reinforcing the bass. Okay, then we have this. Another brass, all right. And some atmospherics. Anyone? Maybe? So then, we're moving on to the next part because that's literally it. There's nothing else. I really kept the intro minimalistic and I like it this way because it has interesting elements throughout, but there's not too many of them, you know? Like, these things are keeping it interesting because there's something in the background happening, but then you have constant synth playing and the pluck, and then you have the vocals. So, onto the build up. We have
Down Cali, driving around with my baby. Top drops and raindrops, motion got me all faded. My heart got me going all crazy, and I won't be walking away. Yeah.
So, again, vocals, nothing changed. There's still the synth, but it's, I think, it was the same. It's the same as intro, nothing changed. So there we have slight introduction of the lead. So it's really in the background. There we go. Then we have a generic action loop with some down filters and up filters. Still the synth playing. And that's the thing I like to do. When I try to make build-ups and intros and drops, I always make sure that it's connected, you know? Obviously, it has to be connected, but on some level, I try to keep and remain some elements unchanged so it feels more smooth. So it's not like cut. Because, like, I think build-up drums already is a big change. So that's also why I filter them up. So it feels smoother, because if I were to just put the drums here, and they would be playing like from the start, and I turn off the filter,
Down Cali, driving around with my
it's okay, but it's not as smooth. It can feel rough and not nice, so I try to make it more connected. I had a vocoder in here actually, but it wasn't good enough, you know?
down Cali, driving around with my baby. Top drops and raindrops.
I mean, it's not bad, but I don't know, I decided to not put it there. So what do we have? Really basic build-up drums. And then we have this. And they're both filtered. Oh yeah. And then we have the band filter. Yeah, it's
Won't
this
be
one.
walking away.
So the pre-drop is this. And this is reverse of... I have no idea. Something for sure. Then we have this. Glass breaking sound. And so laser, another laser, and secret drum thingy, and reverse kick. Okay, that's it for the build up. Moving on to the drop section, we have few changes from the previous version, which Kayaks made. The synth is there still, I did few tweaks, but it's mainly just processing and EQing, you know? So it would just some things and then linking it to the lead bus, like to kind of EQ them consistently, because this, right? This is pretty rich in the lower frequencies, and this one not so much. So I had to kind of balance them with EQing, so they feel consistent. So this synth would be more boomy, and these would be more sharp. So I had to make this marimba more sharp, and those less, like more boomy, or marimba less boomy, you know, to just kind of level it out with EQing and feel of them. So they still are kind of separate, but at the same time, you just manipulate them so they feel consistent. Then we have the vocal. I didn't change anything besides sidechain anything. So the chords that were in the old version were replaced with this one. This is main lead, and it's the intro synth, but it's a bit changed. You know, you have this one on the left side, and on the right side, kind of more squarey. I think, yeah, I replaced this one. And they're playing together. We have EQ, RC20, which just adds some bit crush and some wobble, so it's wobbly. Then we have the EQ with very specific thing on it, which I don't think I applied. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh yeah, there's some taking out the mids and things like that were in later section of the producing stage, because I was just listening for like to the elements and seeing if anything has too much or something, you know, and just kind of making room for things in mix. So that was like later logic. And then we have G clip because I hate compression and what the fuck is this? So that will be for the lead. So then we have, oh yeah, and the lead is panned. Left side is more sowy, the right side most. The left side is more sowy, the right side is more squarey. Yeah, Minecraft Steve. So for the second part of the lead, we have this. So it's kind of panned, and then we have this. So to unpack this, it's just two basic leads playing left right. They're supporting the vocal part, and then we have this, which is just automated, and yeah, that's basically the second lead. Now we move on to the brass shots. It's just basically a bunch of stabs and brasses together in one channel and spread to make the wideness. And that's it. Then we have sub bass. And this is quite interesting. So we have the mono sub. Then we have the white sub. What the hell? I'm gonna explain it in a second. So first we have where is it? There we go. We have the sub bass, which is really simple. It's R bass, EQing, some compression, trash, because trash is good. Then we have some more EQing and clip, because I hate compression. And there we go. See, it's so nice. Why compress? And then we have sidechain. So, white sub. What is it? It's basically, I believe, the same patch. Yes, no. Oh, it's actually not. So it's just a regular sub bass. Then you cut up like this. So it's really hitting the 100 something ish frequencies. Then I make it completely mono. And then I make the has effect with convolver because Trash is really good at convolving things. Like it's really good at the has effect. It makes it kind of consistently. For some reason, I cannot explain why. Just software magic. Then we have clip, EQ again, and imager. Yeah, I was just checking it. So it's not interfering the sub, but it is adding up to the panorama, and that's how it sounds. Without and with it. So there's quite a big difference. Mid basses. We have buzz bass or like fart bass. You know, more folk type shit. With Bit Crush, because Bit Crush is amazing and it makes thing pop through mix, and it's a really good method, which I discovered recently because I'm aiming to do bad computer related stuff. So I'm gonna really sidetrack, but bear with me. So Bad Computer really uses the Bit Crush, and I was wondering what's about it, like besides the magic it creates, what's about it, what can be used for, and I really discovered that when you take it and put it on, let's say, a plug that would be invisible in the mix because it's soft, but it has to be soft. It's supposed to be soft. So if you just put a bit of Bit Crush, it's gonna make itself present in the high end somewhere, not really strongly, but a subtle, it's gonna be a subtle thing, but it's gonna pop through mix. So it's gonna punch through. So sometimes putting a bit of Bit Crush on sub bass, let's say, or on leads or something, it can make it pop through because it's a recognizable sound. You know when something is Bit Crushed, you just feel it, And in this case, it's really pushing through the mix. This one. Which is 3 patches. I don't know if you're interested in that, but yeah. This one, and this one. And they're heavily distorted. Disperser, EQ, EQ. No, this is not working. EQ. And they go to a bus, which I believe is the same bus that the leads go to. Yes. No. Okay, it's another thing. But yeah, that's the mid basses. Then you have this one, which is pretty interesting. It's kind of core of the whole vibe because that's one of 2 things in this mix that make the rhythm. So it's a jumpy bass, really short one, plucky, and again Bit Crush to make it pop through mix and add a certain vibe. It's 2 patches and just, going back and forth. So A, B, and they're really keeping the rhythm going. Okay, so now a very interesting element. One thing is I have like wobbly thing on lead, but the second thing is I have a wave shaper, and this bass shot, this lead, they are connected to the same channel and they are getting wave shape together, So they make crunchy texture, and on top of it, there's a little detune. So it's really creating a very nice effect, and it's just blended together very nicely. So that's how it's so glued together, and that's all. That's all from the synths. Now we move on to the drums. I took this kick, and I just put some high end on top of it, which is really funny because it's the same top end that I used in my kick in the future. It just worked really well, so I decided why not put it on this one. And I got this milky smooth kind of textured kick. Here's your second to steal the sample. You got it? Okay, great. They are put in one bus. Oh yeah, and the kick is heavily processed. I just made it basically less transient and a bit more distorted, you know? And then I just cut it a bit. So then we have a few layers of clap because I cannot decide ever. And this is not the worst case scenario in like snares. Oh my fucking god, I have like 10 layers. But this is quite minimalistic for me. So just few layers, you know, together. And with the kick. And all routed to the drum bus. Then we have really interesting element, which Kayak's already implemented. There's also a tom, but that's not as important. This. Right? It's keeping the rhythm. And that's the second of the two things. So together with this. So they two are keeping the rhythm of the whole thing going. So that's how it's kept interesting. Next up, we have just some basic stuff. Reverse snare, big room snare, because I love big room snares. I actually don't. We also have those, which are basically just one shots, very important. Core. This is. Oh, this is turned off because that wasn't good. But we have the core. And then. Absolutely the most random thing that is in this drop. It's just a synth one shot. And then we have those in the second part. So like soft reverse, and then we have those. So little up filter, and then we have a synth texture, which is this, and this thing. And they're displaying different melody. That's making the background atmosphere here. We also have this. Oh yeah. I don't remember half of these things because it's already been a few months, and I know I should record this really earlier. Next up, we have a few automations. I believe this one is for lead. That's not lead. This one. No. Never mind. Okay, so this one is for leads second part. You know, just to keep some rhythm going and to make it interesting. And then we have this, which is for the brass shots. Okay, so it's just quite random, but it's working and it's adding up something. So the second half is not much different. Oh yeah, the pre-drop. I mean the middle thing. So it's just Kashmir loop because I had no idea what to put here. I tried something like that, but it didn't fit that much. Like,
Won't be walking away, yeah.
you know, not really the vibe. So I settled with this. We have also that thing. And the second part is not really that much different. It started up with this bass, and then we have the aw. And there's just some symbols. Really simple stuff. So the clap is sidechained to not interfere with the kick that much. But the ride is actually not sidechained. It's little more quiet, but this way it's still punching through the mix. So there we have it. And there's just some up filters. And it ends up with this. And that's it for the drop. I was finished with the first drop. And I was just thinking, what can be done for the second part? It randomly popped in my head, oh, what if I make it triplets? So then I made it triplets. So I had the second drop done, and then there was absolutely no connection between the first and second part because it's switch over rhythm. So what am I supposed to do? And then I just came up with this random MIDI. I was just messing around with the piano and I figured out something. And then at the end, there's a switch to triplets. So if we just check it out, there's the background bells, 22.5 ambience, which is ambience from my friend's ambience pack. Again, this. Again, the same ambience. We have some spooky stuff. And then this. So again, to keep stuff interesting. And then we have... There we go. So see, there's the switch to the triplets. And then when I came up with that, it became really easy to connect it to the second part because of this part, I could already do triplets in the build up. So it wasn't that hard then. So it's just, I believe, oh yeah, this is just bit crush getting more applied. And then I took this thing. And then the second part is basically just vocals getting chopped up to the triplets because I had to sit on it for some time and just make them work. Switching the pattern to the triplets, chopping up the synth. And again, the build up is really simple and it's literally the same, but it's just everything chopped up to match the triplets. And same with the second drop. It's basically literally the same, but it's just with the groove. This is quite interesting. I had to sit on it for some time because this is like one loop of the vocal and I had to just manipulate it a bit. And then I had to cut off some parts because they had some weird picks. So it was quite a bit of job, but I eventually got it done. Is there anything interesting in the... No, not really. There is the compressor I hate. But it had to be squashed, so I had to use it. So nothing crazy here, just switching the patterns to match the triplet rhythm. We have same thing here, same thing in the drums, and just cutting up these parts. And same with all the patterns. So it was just work of switching the 4/4. I mean, it's still 4/4, but just from, terminology, the triplets. Let's leave it at that. And everything was just chopped up to match it. So let's go over the master chain right now. Because what's pretty interesting, like the ID version we had that was posted on Future IDs didn't really have that pushy master, because the final version is really pushed up and you can feel how it's squashed. But when I play it without master, it's also quite interesting and it's sounding more like Bad Computer, and it's not as well, it's not as squashed, but yeah, let me just play it.
Won't be walking away, yeah.
Right? So it's a bit more transient full. I don't know if that's the word, but it has more transients and it's just, it sounds different, but I like it as well, you know? And I wouldn't be mad if I released it like this. So that's for that one automation, which makes the master bit crushed. We have Vintage Warmer because it's really good and it does really well job at warming up the mix a bit. Before that, I just have some automation EQs and just a bit of sub removing, so that's really minor things. After that, we have Ozone, which I just did match EQ. And what I did is I learned in JS Car's video really long ago that if you play pink noise as your reference, and then you play your track, and then you try to apply it and just add a little bit of it, it can end up sounding quite nice. So I tried it out and it worked pretty well. Then we have just a tiny bit of imaging, just more width on the high end. Then soothe, because these frequencies, they are quite annoying to do something about them. Then we have clip, which is one of like few reasons that it sounds so squashed, but in a quite nice way, I think. And then we just have invisible limiter. So that's the master right here. And drop sits at comfortable -6. Oh, -5, all right. So that's all there is to it. This video is probably gonna be very long anyway, but I hope you learned something from that. I hope there's knowledge in what I said. That's gonna be it. I really hope you enjoyed this video and the track. I really enjoyed working with kayaks. It was pretty nice, and thank you Chill Planet for releasing the track. I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, that's it. See you guys
Won't be walking
soon.
away, yeah.